Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm your host, Joe Slepsky, and we are back this week for a very special episode with a fan of the show, Mr. Bryan Graham. Bryan, welcome to Joe on Joe.
How's it going?
You are a listener, and you reached out and said you wanted to be on the show. You enjoyed the show.
I am. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for being a fan of the show, and thank you for joining us this week for the episode Eau De Cobra. Now,
those are my fave.
It's such a good episode. I really love it. Before we get into the details on that, Bryan, you're calling in from Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
Lifelong Arizona in?
Yes, sir.
And what is
Not too many of us.
Cool? And you're a graphic designer, correct?
Yep.
For a record label. I almost called it a record shop. It's a record label, though, right?
Yeah, it's a record shop.
It's a record shop.
Yep.
Called Zia Records. That is www.ziarecords.com. And tell me about Zia Records.
Zia Records is one of the few super giant record shops around. We have 9 stores here in Arizona, in Phoenix, Tucson, and a couple in Las Vegas. You can records, pop culture stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of G.I. Joe stuff in a lot of our shops. Vintage, new, what have you. We do a lot of comic book conventions. If you're in Phoenix or Vegas, come say hi, pick up some cool stuff.
Oh, it's very cool. In California, we have a place it's pretty big called Amoeba Records. Are you familiar with that?
I am indeed. Which is very, very similar to Amoeba Records.
Oh, that's very cool. Then I imagine you're pretty awesome then.
I am. I'm a little biased myself. But Amoeba's it's great too.
Yeah, no. So you're wearing a Zia Records shirt right now, and it looks pretty sweet. Is that Dr. Strange-ish?
It sure is.
That's so cool.
This is the worst job ever. This is what I have to do.
Oh, I know. That's horribly terrible. So what do you? So as a graphic designer for a record store, what kind of stuff do you do? Like, is it just promos, marketing, or what is it?
Yeah, a lot of marketing stuff. All of our web graphics. I make T-shirts. We do, like I said, a bunch of like festivals. So we basically we set up mini shops. So yesterday actually I was in my office. We just had Comic-Con and I did like a 20-foot sign by 5 feet tall of Godzilla. So I just put that up in my office on the wall.
That's awesome.
It's pretty rad. I get to play with foam core, spray paint, glue. It's pretty rad. It's good stuff. Lots of band posters.
Lots of
in stores.
Lots of huffing.
Yeah. Yeah. My office on a Friday is feeling pretty good.
It's happy hour comes whenever you need a new color to apply.
At noon.
Happy hour is at noon. That's fantastic. And you prior to that, you had told me that you were in the restaurant business.
I was.
And you made a change, kind of like a life change, to move into doing graphic design.
Yep.
I'm always fascinated by that. I'm someone who did that myself. Tell me about that journey. Where did you get the wherewithal, the desire, the drive to make a 90-degree turn in what you were doing?
I'm an artist. I make comic books, and I've done that for a long time now. And the restaurant thing just came through. I paid my way through college, so I waited tables like many college students do. And I would like to think I was fairly good at it. And then I was offered management jobs at a local restaurant, and they kept expanding, so I just kind of grew with them. And it was a really good gig, don't get me wrong, but the hours were really hard. I met my better half 9 years ago, and we're very family-driven and working 12-hour days till... The last place I was at was a bar, so I worked till 3 a.m, and that is not for family life.
That's a family killer. It really is.
So we wanted to have kids and all that, and it was important to me to sit and have dinner every night. So I had to leave. And then graphic design came through the restaurant business, actually. Our marketing girl, we used to partner up at some of the restaurants and do like CD releases. Mm-hmm. And so I knew her, and then I found out there was an opening at Zia, and So restaurants brought me to Zia and to graphic design, and they all knew that I made comics and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
That's a
Small world.
It's a cool journey. It's a cool journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
And so,
It's
and you
pretty fun.
did you recently started a family?
Yes, we had a new addition move in with us on a 7-year-old on Monday before Thanksgiving.
And are you fostering, or what's the
Yes, well, hopefully it will be forever. He's a pretty cool little dude.
That's so fabulous.
Yeah, everything changed at 9:30 at night on a Monday. It was great, but it was great.
Oh, congratulations! That's I think adoption and fostering, I think, is just a lovely thing. Yeah, very happy for you.
Very happy. And then I'm a gigantic Star Wars fan too, like Star Wars and G.I. Joe. That's where it's at.
Really?
And the very next morning, my little dude rolled out of bed and wanted to watch Return of the Jedi. I was like, this is going to be fantastic.
That's a match made. Yeah, that's a match made in heaven. I love that. I love that so much. Are you excited about Rogue One? No, let me think. So. When people hear this, this will be airing like the day before Rogue One. So, are you stoked?
I'm as excited as yes, I am. This will be the first Star Wars movie in my adult life that I can't watch the midnight episode. I'm probably gonna have to go Saturday morning, so there'll be like an internet ban on Friday. Yeah, but I want to be able to watch this with the little guy.
That's so cool. Yeah, we're doing some traveling. And we're landing back. We're going to Chicago for a quick holiday visit. And I've told my wife, as soon as we land, the first thing we're doing is finding a theater and going to see the movie. That's not even up for debate. So you're a lifelong G.I. Joe fan. When did you first discover G.I. Joe?
Oh, dude, I don't remember. I have a picture. I don't know. When did it came out? What, 82, right?
It started in 82. 83 was the first miniseries, and then 85 was when the show regularly was in
I remember, I want to say it's The Revenge of Cobra with Alpine and Bazooka, and he does the yodeling to make the thing. Is that right? I remember, that is the first episode I remember.
Awesome.
And yeah, I have a picture somewhere with that and the TV in the background. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's great. It's great.
I remember.
And what was your toy selection like when you were short?
I was spoiled. My mama took me. We did lots of yard sailing, so I felt like I got a lot because I didn't buy them new very often.
Yeah.
Dude, I had everything. The creme de la creme, and it is still my favorite toy, was the Cobra Bug. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there that need, like, the military stuff. No, I want it weird. The 86, 87s business, that whole line, that was my favorite.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I wish I saw it a few years ago at a toy shop for, like, $85.
Wow.
I should have bought it because it's a lot less expensive there than I've ever seen on eBay.
And if memory serves, that had a couple of round pods on it, correct?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that had like a little dome thing onto the left side that could come off, and it was a submarine, and they had the trapdoors, they had like the hovercraft thing. Dude, it was so rad.
That's so cool. And you said your favorites were both Lady J and Zarana.
Yeah, if I had to narrow it down to two, and I don't think I could do between those two. I'm a Dreadnoks guy through and through, though. Like, to break it up as a team, Dreadnoks, but Lady J and Zarana.
Well, the Dreadnoks were awesome, and they definitely, obviously, they had that punk rock heavy metal vibe, so that makes sense that you're working for a record store and you're a Dreadnoks fan. Besides Zarana, did you have a specific Dreadnok that you were partial to?
Oh, well, yeah, you got to go with Zartan for sure.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
like Road Pig or
Road Pig was good. That probably led to some of my preferences later in life. Big hunky shirtless dude with mallets, probably. So your children are corruptible from a young age, so you might know.
Road Piggers, as we like to call them, Saturday night.
Uh-huh.
No,
yeah, Zanzibar too.
Yeah, Zanzibar. Yeah, the pirate was great. He had that top knot with real hair. Yeah, that was awesome. His ship was great too. The little skiff with the fan on the back and the missiles on the side. Yeah. Zanzibar was dope. He gets.
Yeah, I think I had all of the Dreadnoks for sure. No, I lied. I never had Torch. I never found Torch.
Listen,
I think I did like years later in life, but
if to this day, I mean, I've done this is like episode 45 of the show that I've done. I've watched all these before, everything. To this day, I can't. If they're not holding their weapons, I can't tell you which one's Torch, which one's Buzzer, and which one's Ripper.
Oh,
I don't know why. I have a mental block in my head. If they're holding their weapon,
Buzzer's blonde, Torch is brown, has brown hair, and Ripper has black hair. There you go.
Okay, all right, I'll try. I don't know. I mean, I know who they are. I know their names. I just, in my head, I need to see the weapon to associate who they are.
Now, Monkey Wrench and Torch, their look is a little. Someone was a little lazy in the character design department for.
Yeah, but Monkey Wrench was cool though. Monkey Wrench was cool. He had that big red beard, right? Like a handlebar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And to join the team, didn't he he cheated? He threw off a grenade or something like that.
Yes, he did.
She's supposed to have a fist fight, right?
Yeah. Yes. Was that in the movie?
What's that?
Was that in the movie?
That was in Arise for Mentor.
It was Rise
when
for
they
Mentor.
introduced
Right. Yep.
Yeah. See, sadly, I don't know if all your listeners are like me and continue to watch this pretty much every single night before they go to bed. So there's still like a lot of each other fresh.
Well, I mean, the origins of this whole podcast is I wanted to I have the box set and I watched them all before, but it had been a couple of years, so I wanted to do a rewatch, and I was like, well, as long as I'm doing a rewatch, let's make a podcast with it. So I've not literally not gotten to Rise of Mentor or Rise again, so I haven't seen that.
So you're watching like basically live with the thing?
Yeah, I mean, I rewatch
awesome.
it before the episode, but yeah, I there's so many of these I haven't seen in 5 years, 6 years, So yeah, there is I like to think of it as like a freshness of discovery. I think hopefully it helps.
I'm sure that's really rad.
Yeah.
Actually, I've tried to get my better half to watch it.
And
it's not so easy. I remember like when we first met years ago, everyone tries to be cool. Like when you first meet somebody and like there's the first few nights and they stayed over or whatever. And I'm really wanting to watch G.I. Joe because I still, back then I only had the Rhino versions from.
Yeah, which they never finished, so you never had that final season. Yeah.
Yeah, so let me tell you, that half when the Shout video came, that was pretty good too.
Oh, it was a good day. Awesome. Well, Bryan, thank you so much. If you're interested in seeing some of Bryan's artwork, you could. And I'm assuming you put your artwork on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how Bryan found me. You can find him at Bryan so it's BRYAN _BG _Graham GRAHAM on Instagram. You can also find me at Joe on Joe Pod. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter with that name. You can find me on Facebook at Joe on Joe Pod. And if you're so inclined, readers, I do so much comic book stuff. Like it's always readers and episodes. If you're so inclined, listeners, if you like the show, please, wherever you're listening, whether it's on iTunes or Stitcher or TuneIn, go out there and leave me a review. Let the world know what you think of the show. It always helps for getting visibility to the show and growing the program. So with that, Bryan, let's get into Eau De Cobra. Are you ready?
I am.
Sweet. Let's do this thing. Yo, Joe, indeed. Does the opening music, does it do anything for you?
My better half has ruined it.
Really?
His new song is G.I. Joe. He sings it, and then G.I. Joe blows.
Oh, stop it.
I know, it's pretty terrible, isn't it?
That's the worst. Listen, though, he's in good company because my wife, who has been on the show.
A couple times, right?
Oh, yeah. She's my Tony Randall. She just has no interest in G.I. Joe. She hates it.
She does great on the show.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, she's a gamer and she's funny and talented and all that stuff. And I like to think that we get some mileage out of it. But yeah, when it comes to actually like details of the show, she's like, I don't care.
It's actually because of your show that I never realized that was Duke's voice out of Flint. I've
Yeah.
never noticed.
Thank you. Thank you. We're here to expose all the dirty secrets. So Eau De Cobra opens, and we're actually in England. We're bucking at a museum in England. This episode is written by Flint Dilley, who is one of the better G.I. Joe writers. He's
the showrunner on Transformers from season 3 on too,
exactly,
right?
yeah, he's exactly. So this episode is, I think, dynamite. I think this episode is actually, if you were to say what's one of the quintessential episodes of G.I. Joe, this is the episode that I would sit them in front of. Yes,
G.I. Joe, well, G.I. Joe and Cobra, spoiler alert, but they're taken out by a crab at the end. It's pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's, that is very true. But what we're watching right now is we're watching a mummy. We're in a museum, and a mummy has come to life, seemingly, and he has just stolen an ancient tablet. So now he's getting chased by a bunch of British guards who are carrying guns, and I thought you weren't supposed to have guns in Britain. But the mummy does a nice escape, and he escapes from the British Museum. And what I really love about the show is that it's got the MacGuffin, and it's got both teams kind of pursuing the mode, pursuing it, and it's got a lot of great characterization and then a tight resolution at the end. There's no real wackiness. Yeah, it's a love potion involved. Spoiler alert. But that's just one. I mean, that's no crazier than a mass device. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
So now we're up at like an Antarctic research station, kind of like out of the movie The Thing. A couple of dudes who are just minding their own business, trying to have a pot of coffee. Thank you for not shooting the pot of coffee.
Yeah, somebody's got their priorities straight.
This someone who is staying in the shadows. We're not going to reveal exactly who it is, but he doesn't want to be seen by these guys, and so he's shooting up the place, and he accidentally hits like an explosive liquid canister or something, and a bunch of blue ink or dye shot on him. But now we can see in the shadows it's Firefly.
One toy I never had.
Yeah, I never had Firefly either. But he was always super cool. Like, he's like half ninja, half awesome.
Exactly.
And 100% Cobra. I thought they did a good job with him in the live action sequel. So what Firefly's done is, he's at this Arctic research station, and he's looking for a specific plant that was like buried under the ice that these guys had located. They summon the Joe team. And this is another reason why I love this episode, is because the Joes saw a problem, and they said, hey, let's dispatch Snow Job and Frostbite. They're a team of specialists, so let's send specialists. And so right now Snow Job is pursuing on skis, which is great because it's part of his toy.
Snow Job to Frostbite. He lost me. Not me.
And here comes Frostbite in the Snowcat. Did you have the Snowcat?
I did have the Snowcat.
I love this.
And what was the wolf? That was the Cobra version of the Snowcat, right?
Yeah,
the thing with the ski bombs or whatever.
Yeah, it was like it was WULF, right?
I think
Wasn't
so.
it spelled like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Firefly escapes on a trouble bubble, and then flies into a submarine. And Frostbite and Snowjob are trying to figure things out. And this show moves fast with throwing new characters at you too, because it starts out, you're watching this and you're like, oh, we're gonna have an adventure in the snow with these guys. Nope, that's it. It's the last we see them. They do their job and we move on.
I think that's one of the things I love about the show, actually. For sure.
That it's got so many characters.
Yeah, and then somehow we can remember them all 30-something years later.
Oh yeah, right.
That's how good the show was.
Well, because they're all so distinctive. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that the movie made, in that it made all of the characters, it gave them different names, but they all looked exactly the same.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
And they all looked like Snake Eyes, but there was no personality to them. And I'll never understand why Hasbro or whoever was in charge would have let that happen, because it just doesn't make any sense.
I think my biggest beef with the movies, which were fun, don't get me wrong, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are. Totally.
But the suits in the first one, the entire thing that made G.I. Joe so awesome was they didn't have superpowers.
Yes.
In the era where it was all superpowers or superhuman strength or whatever, and they had their wits and they had cool weapons.
Yep.
And then the movies basically gave them superpowers with these suits.
Yeah.
It was a bummer for me.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But they were fun.
Totally. It's a total fun movie. I like both of them. But yeah, they kind of took everything that was special about G.I. Joe and kind of removed it. We need to not literally rewind, but mentally rewind. Polly called Shipwreck a crook on the boat, and I love a good Polly line. Like Duke was asking him, how do you know so much about this smuggler's cove? And it's like, because he's a crook. Like, that's the best. And he had no comeback for it. Shipwreck was just like, yep.
Polly's where it's at.
Oh, I know.
And earlier too, they probably had to send out Frostbite and Snow Job because Lady J and Scarlet were busy suntanning, and now she's going surfing in this episode, which I'm pretty into. Well,
look at this though. Look at the toy that they're on. That was a mail away. Did you? Yeah. I don't know if you had that, but that was like a, what are those called? Like a windsurfer.
Yeah.
Like with a sail on top of a surfboard. That was a total mail away toy.
Yeah, it was early on too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If I remember right.
Absolutely. Did you collect flag points?
I did. I mostly bought my G.I. Joes at yard sales, so they didn't have those things, so it took me quite a while. Well, and I do remember getting the Super Trooper.
Well, we're going into commercial real quick with a big explosion. Today's Filecard Feature is on the Dreadnok, Zarana. She is known as Zartan's sister. And Zarana is a professional assassin who gains access to her victims through skillful acting and masterful use of makeup and disguise. While her brother Zartan concentrates on the purely physical aspects of disguise, Zarana works from the method actor's point of view to completely become the object of her impersonation, to think, feel, and react like another person. She is an expert in small arms, explosive, and edged weapons. Like her two brothers, she also has the ability to change skin color. Zarana could have had a brilliant career on the professional stage if the evil in her nature hadn't been so strong. She throws tantrums, cuts ahead on lines, and never leaves a tip. She posed as an oral hygienist for 6 months on one assignment, armed only with a reel of specially coated dental floss to incapacitate her unwitting victims. She escaped, dressed as a granny lady, hobbling on a walker, right past the cops and into a cab. The cabbie remembered her. She didn't leave a tip. Zarana's definitely continuing the punk rock look of the Dreadnoks. She's got red hair with, it's sort of a faux mohawk top knot thing going on the top of her head, with a pink outfit that actually makes her look more like she's be more comfortable in the Gem and the holograms. She and Xandar came out at the same time, and I really love that they built a literal family for Zartan when he already had the extended family of the Dreadnoks. It's funny, when you look at her action figure today, certainly from the waist up, she's all woman. But her shoulder joints look like they're her brothers, and definitely the pants, like the bottoms, look like every other Dreadnok. So it's pretty funny that they didn't try too hard to make her look ultra feminine, because I think she's pretty macho and tough. And so Zarana, also known as Zartan's sister, we salute you, whoever you may be today, or tomorrow, or the next day.
G.I. Joe.
So you got the Super Trooper, and what was that? The one that you used your own name to make, or what was the Super Trooper?
I remember like he had the big silver shield, right? When they used the Super Trooper.
Well, because remember there was one that you gave them your information. They would put it.
Yeah, that was like some blue costume dude.
Yeah, but that's not the Super Trooper.
No, he had like a big chrome shield.
Okay.
And back then, you didn't have like metallic shiny stuff.
Right.
But I remember how long it took.
It did always take.
It felt forever.
Totally.
I think I was out of G.I. Joe by the time it finally came in.
In fact, there's a knock on your door right now. There's a knock on your door right now, and there's a mailman with a hooded Cobra Commander. He's like, this package has been sitting in my living room for 20 years. I'm sorry. It just took me a long time to get it to you. So the Lady J and Flint, they were caught in an explosion triggered by Cobra Commander to try to kind of cover their tracks. But Lady J was able to make it out with the that fish almost jumped right in Flint's mouth. Lady J made it out with the stone tablet intact. So they're gonna head back to the Joes and kind of figure out what Cobra was up to.
Who does Cobra want to attract to whom?
And we get to see their pre-marriage love sayings to each other. It's pretty cute.
This is all courtship, and it's another reason why I love the show. Like they have those two just straight up like they're partners and they're in a relationship, and you get the flirtation of the Baroness coming later.
Patching Flynn into you. He has some questions.
They know that this is going to make a and here's Short Fuse. Like you get like an early Joe appearance, like one of the originals. It's awesome.
Bachelor in the world.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I am having a really hard time remembering his toy.
Well, wasn't Short Fuse the
He's even looking for a wife.
mine detector?
Yeah.
Like the bomb diffuser guy, right? So he came with the minesweeper, the metal detector.
Oh yeah.
I think so. And he had
Or was that Tripwire?
Oh, that is Tripwire.
I have the
Short
metal
Fuse.
detector. I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, I know. This is where I need to get a producer, and the producer would be Googling it as we talk, so we don't sound like complete idiots. But I'm gonna do it instead.
This is the last time I come to a party uninvited.
So Flint asked Short Fuse to find a.
Come on, in there.
And I know he was the mortar soldier. I just did his file card a few episodes. I should totally remember this. He was the mortar soldier, so he came with the mortar launcher. But now, why he's an expert in who the he was voiced by Frank Welker. Why he's an expert in the he was from Chicago. Yeah, the Chicago guy. Why he's an expert in the world's richest bachelors, I don't know, but he happened to be reading the Bachelor magazine at the time. And the Joes have.
You did just do that one, I think.
What's that?
You did just do that.
I
card,
totally did. It's all a blur, Brian. It's just so much of a blur. So they realize that Cobra is going to use the love potion perfume, which they got from the ancient stone tablet. They're going to use the love potion to trick the world's wealthiest bachelor, which is some creepy looking dude.
Doing quite well. Ertis looks enraptured.
A Greek, I
I
think
love
he's a
how
Greek.
this episode is.
Yeah, he's like a Greek billionaire.
And the Baroness has got quite the high cut on that skirt.
Very
and
much
then
so.
get some side action on Lady J a little bit later.
It's a very sexy episode.
Yes.
And I love that they've got Destro watching it because basically he's being cuckolded by Cobra Commander because Cobra Commander's forcing Baroness into this romantic situation. So that's always, that's going to drive Destro over the edge. He's very protective of all his things, property and ladies.
Have a nice trip.
So Lady J and Flint just kill a couple dudes because they threw them into the ocean and didn't throw them any life preservers.
Nope.
No, I don't know how those guys are going to survive. But hopefully they're strong swimmers.
I think so. They're elite Cobra soldiers, so
Totally.
I'm sure they're good.
Yeah, Baroness looks good, and Flint rolls up, looking dapper.
Darling, it's been so
He sure does.
Yeah, and he's going to cut in on the Baroness, and they had long had that flirtatious relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was. What was the G.I. Joe comics from like the early 2000s?
Oh, the Devil's Due
Red
stuff.
Devil, and they brought that back when
Yep.
he was like captured or something. That was a great comic run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Devil's Due stuff was really solid. I love that they really took the best of the cartoon and the best of the later Hama stuff and just ran with it.
For even you are not immune.
Are you reading the new IDW stuff?
I'm really excited about all that crossover stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I just have not had the time, unfortunately. But I did love the Cobra stuff.
Yeah.
With Antonio Fuso and Mike Costa was so good.
So good. So good. So over your shoulder, and we're on a Skype call, I see you've got the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. So you're a big Transformers guy too?
Honestly, Transformers I liked later in life than I did more than I did as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Actually. But yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
I love the movie. The movie is mind trippy, weird business. It is so good.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great,
Yeah.
and they really did change in that. Like they made changes to the canon with that.
Yeah.
It was so forward thinking.
I'm quite the fan of the G.I. Joe movie too. I know that is another controversial stance there from time to time, but the Cobra Law stuff was cool.
Oh, you'll hear no controversy. You'll hear no controversy from me. But however, we're going to go into the break right now with Destro hanging Flint off the edge of the ship because, again, Destro's upset that Flint's flirting with Baroness.
Cobra Commander, he is the enemy. He's the enemy of G.I. Joe.
Escaping!
He's escaping in the Cobra Claw. Get the Nick Jaws and get him aboard the Skyhawk.
Introducing Duke, Roadblock, and Spirit.
G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
Cobra Commander got away. But we captured Storm Shadow. Yo, Joe!
G.I. Joe Skyhawk, Joe and Cobra figures and Cobra Claw sold separately from Hasbro. Now back to G.I. Joe.
Have you ever been on a cruise? You ever taken a cruise?
I have not.
My wife and I did one last year for our anniversary, and it was a lot of fun. But
It looks great.
yeah, I'm just trying to picture how any of these hijinks would go on without everyone on the cruise immediately just jumping in because there's so many people on a cruise ship. Like I'm seeing all these open spaces, and like you really have to work hard to find an open space.
Yeah. I think it's all filled with the ladies trying to get at this dude though.
Yeah, well, that is true though. Yeah, this isn't like you're right though. You're right. This is this dude's private cruise. He just they just threw Flint like over the ledge. They threw both Flint and Destro into the water. Again, no life preservers. Because they're fighting.
One of the things I love about the show are the sound effects, like the hang glider noise.
Yes.
All the time as a little kid. They're the greatest, like the greatest.
Did you have different noises for different types of machine guns that your toys would shoot?
Yeah. There's really no other machine gun other than Roadblock, so.
Well,
News is pretty cool.
Well,
later on.
Snake Eyes is Uzi, right? So Snake Eyes Uzi was like, brr, 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 like short bursts. And then, like Roadblock or Rock and Roll, they'd be like, like they would bring like that different heavy sound to it. That was always very important in my play.
Yes, I was weird when I had dealt with lots of social issues when I was a kid. I was not much of the guns. I used to write little scripts. I had to play by myself because no friends wanted to join me because I had a strict script that I would have to follow. It was always had to do with an orphan child somewhere that no one wanted.
Oh, no.
Or interracial relationships that were somehow forbidden.
Wow. So you were tackling social issues. That's great. The comfort of your own bedroom.
There you go.
That's so funny. Yeah, I would base it would always just be an invasion based on whatever place that I wanted to play with that day.
Uh-huh.
And then it would just be different ways to. It was in a way. If now earlier we were talking off mic, you said you weren't much of a video gamer, but it was almost like a real time strategy game that's how I would play, where everyone would move like a couple feet, each figure, like because it was like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of adventure.
Yeah.
So like each guy I'd shoot you, but before you can fall, I'd have to see what the Baroness did over here, and then Destro made a move, and Zartan made a move, and like
that's how I'm watching my 7-year-old play that way, and he's very much like that. It's always war. There are distinct lines on either side, and each one just creeps in a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, that looks a lot more fun than what I used to do.
Well, no, I love the script. The script is great. Like you're like, I want to see a play. I want to see it played out live action and with 3 3/4 inch pieces of plastic. That's what I want. So back to the show. Lady J and Baroness, they got into a scuffle, and very much like in the movie Temple of Doom, the perfume got bottled and kicked all throughout the ship by a bunch of women who wanted the perfume, and it fell into the water.
And I love the G.I. Joe karate chop.
Yes, always.
That made it into my play almost every time.
Always.
It was like the coolest thing.
It's more exciting than the Vulcan death pinch.
Yes, for sure.
So actually, Destro does have an inner tube. It was sent to him, and he's trying to get back on board. The perfume bottle is slowly sinking to the ground of the ocean floor. The shark, Deep Six, flying the shark underwater. He's trying to grab the perfume. And Cobra's attacking. So now we've got an underwater fight. And that's the other thing that I really love about this episode is you've got a fight in the snow. You've got like a fight on land-ish, like on the, like on the boat with a bunch of people punching each other. And now you've got an underwater fight. So it's like, it's just ranging everywhere and showing this really wide display of the Joe capabilities.
This episode does have a lot more characters than some of them do.
Yeah.
With all their gadgets.
Yep. And they don't you get, Deep Six, he's the underwater guy, obviously. Okay, let's move on. It's not like they spend a lot of time explaining why he's the right guy for this job. It's just, here's Deep Six, of course. So he's fighting a bunch of Cobra eels, and the eels always look cool. The eels were a really cool toy.
They were, yeah. The Cobra toys, let's just be honest, they were just cooler. Overall.
Yeah, they had a little. Well, you're a design guy. They had a design edge to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They really did. I always liked with the eel toy, the backpack had the two pieces, so they could have the regular rebreather, but then they could also you could put the little jet pack on the bottom of it.
Here we go.
And a crab.
So I was in my hallway. Do you remember the Mighty Mugs toys?
Yes. Yeah.
So I've got a Destro, a Cobra Commander, and a Baroness. And the 7-year-old walked past the other day and told me that I had the heads on wrong because Destro's shirt apparently is cut too low, so it looks like a woman's shirt.
Okay.
I was like, hey, you did not have the 70s and the 80s, where the men could wear deep V's just as much as the ladies could. Come on now.
Well, when he's a little older, you got to show him Saturday Night Fever, and then he'll get it. Then he'll understand it. He'll be like, "Oh, all of a sudden, Destro was not incorrectly dressed."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I said that to you 5 years ago. So the Baroness just made her real quick. The Baroness just made her escape, and like every good episode, they escape. The Joes win. They stop them and all that stuff. But now we get a little bit of romance.
I think I should remain a bachelor.
And this creepy old bachelor guy is going to remain a bachelor with his billions.
And the other 72 women still there waiting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm going to remain a bachelor even though I've got a harem waiting for me in my cabin. If this wasn't a PG cartoon we were watching, the guy would be like, "That's great, you guys. I'm just going to go back here with these 15 girls. We're going to wake me when we land, okay?" So Bryan Graham, thank you so much. That was the show, man. What did you think?
It was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, your overall take on the episode. Like, is this a one of your top ones? This middle one?
I agree with you 100% about it. It's like a quintessential G.I. Joe episode.
Yeah.
It's just weird. How can a boy show involve a bottle of perfume and kind of rock? It's so good. So good. And it hits all the notes. It's got a ton of characters in it. They get to show off their gadgets. And you get some romance. You get some Lady Jane and Flint romance. You can never go wrong with that.
You can't ever go. And you got a fantastic one-liner from Polly.
They're even better.
Polly has one line in the show, and it's to rip on Shipwreck.
We go.
Perfect.
Now, one thing I want to say too, because I don't think I've heard anyone else mention it. I still watch a lot of cartoons. I'm a full-on nerd, like I'm sure many of us are. And Wally Burr, the voice director, does not get the credit that man has deserved.
Oh yeah.
I love the acting in the show. It's so good, and it stands heads and tails above even some of the stuff that's on TV now. And there's some really good cartoons out right now, but
I agree 100%.
Acting is so good.
I agree 100%. And they're real actors doing real voice acting.
Yeah. Same with Transformers.
Oh,
anything that Wally Burr touched was golden.
I agree. It's so great. I agree 100%. Bryan, you're a delight. Thank you so much thank you so much for doing this. I love it. Thanks
for your patience too, because it was a rough few weeks there for me. We were good.
Well, listen again. I'm so excited for you. I think you guys are starting a new family, and I think it's such a great thing that you did. So it's really my pleasure to be meeting you, and hopefully I'd love to have you on again in the future. And
Sounds great.
let's stay in
Brian.
touch. And remember, you can find Bryan on Instagram at BRYAN_BG_Graham, and check out his stuff, and check out Zia Records, www.ziarecords.com. I'm going to check them out. And I have actually been meaning to get to the Phoenix Comic-Con because I heard it's really good. So
It is good.
You guys display there?
We do.
Cool.
I from time to time exhibit there myself.
Well,
It's a good
if I head down there, I'll ring you up. And again, this is Joe Slepsky for Joe on Joe, with my special guest Bryan Graham. Now you
Awesome.
Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.